Well, congratulations if you ended up picking an Apple Watch Ultra up. This is a great Apple Watch. It's going to last for a long period of time. And if you're very new to Apple Watches or you're just new to your Apple Watch Ultra, I'll go and give you a quick breakdown on exactly how to use this specific Apple Watch. Now, I think you made a great choice. This is a great watch, so hopefully this will give you a quick breakdown of how to use it. Now, to connect your watch to your specific iPhone, this is probably the first thing you're going to do when to unbox it. It's a very easy process. All you want to do is go and boot up your iPhone. Again, Apple Watches don't work with Androids. So with your iPhone, go ahead and just bring your Apple Watch close to your specific iPhone, just like this. Make sure it's on, and you should see a little pop-up come up at the bottom. Now, if your watch is not connected to this specific iPhone, at the very bottom you should see a little connect button that comes up, and that's typically all you have to do. This Apple Watch isn't connected to this phone, but if you ever want to customize your watch further, you can always make your way over to the watch application, just like by going here, and you should be able to see a lot more customizability things you can do. Now, this whole entire video is going to be based on this specific Apple Watch, so keep that in mind, but regardless, you can always customize it further on your watch app on your iPhone. Now, within the watch itself, we are getting a massive 49mm display on this watch, which is amazing. It's an always-on display too, so you can see it turns on to an always-on, which is really cool. And this is one of the bigger watches Apple has ever made. It's also one of the more expensive ones that's ever made or available right now. Now, on the front, you can always interact with it. It's a touchscreen display, so you can always maneuver around with it here. We'll get into that in a second. On the right side, we do have a little bit of a different setup, but it's kind of the same thing. So we have our digital crown here, which protrudes a little bit further. We have our microphone right here. And we have a side button as well. Now, there's another button on the other side, which we'll get into in a second, but with these buttons right here, we can interact with our Apple Watch further. Now, the thing that separates this one is if you look closely here, it protrudes out a little bit further. There's like this metallic things, and this is mostly to protect your watch if you're mountain climbing or something or whatever. If you hit it against something, it's not going to rip these buttons out, which is really nice. Other Apple Watches don't have it, this one does. Now in the back, we do actually have our little charging block. So if you ever want to actually charge up your Apple Watch, you can go ahead and grab the little charging puck that's available within the box that looks like this, and you can go ahead and plug it into the back of this Apple Watch right here, and as long as the other side is plugged in, it'll start charging. Now on top of that, we do have our little band selection here. Now this is where things get a little bit more interesting. These bands fit exactly the same if you have the bigger Apple Watch Series 8s and you have these Apple Watches too. So to do this, what you want to do, if you want to remove the bands, you want to start off by looking at the two buttons that are unplaced. So there's a button up here, and there's a little tiny button right there. All you want to do is essentially hold this button down while you're sliding this out of place. And that's really all you have to do. So typically I will go ahead and press it down like with one hand right here, and I'll go ahead and just slide it. So I'll go and press it down like this, and I'll go ahead and slide this out. It can be a little bit of an annoying process, and with these Ultra bands, they actually are a little bit more harder to get out. But regardless, you want to take them out if you ever want to, and you can also slide them back into place just by going like this. Now again, this is a sliding type of band, so you go and slide it in, click it into place. That's all you have to do. So you can do that on both sides. It's not anything crazy, but just one of those things you can do if you want to. And these bands are very nice as well. So if you ever want to replace these bands, you can look for Apple Watch Ultra bands, or you can look for Apple Watch, 44, the bigger model bands, the 45mm bands. Look for those ones, and they should fit here too. So the other side of our Apple Watch does have a little bit of a different setup. So we have now this bigger speaker set on our Apple Watch, which looks nice. And we have this side button here as well, which you can actually configure. So we'll get into that in a second. But now if we go ahead and look at our watch, we can always go ahead and get into a panel that looks like this. Now our watch works that if we ever look away, it'll turn off the display. If we look at it, it'll turn back on. So you don't always have to, kind of power it off or anything like that. If you ever want to, you can actually power off your display temporarily by just kind of hovering it over it like this. By kind of like palming your hand and kind of hovering over the display like this, it'll actually cover it like that, and it'll turn it off. So if you always want the always on display, I think it's really nice, but we can configure that later in the settings, and I have videos on my second channel that explain it. Now you can always wake up your watch by clicking on the little app icon on the side right here, which is the little digital crown, and it'll wake up your display. Now your displays are configurable, but before we get into that, we can always kind of utilize our watch by swiping down from the bottom, and we'll actually be able to get into our notification drawer. So within an Apple Watch, and I'll go ahead and come closer a little bit, within our Apple Watch we have a lot of different things built in. So we can go ahead and view all of our notifications from our phone before. We can also clear all notifications. We can always swipe down to see that. We can always swipe up as well to get into our little control center. So here we can go ahead and configure Wi-Fi settings, vibration, battery life, so many other things. But we can also go ahead with that digital crown that's on the side. We can scroll through it, and we can also scroll through these buttons as well. So instead of like using the touchscreen, we can actually utilize our digital crown on the side right here by swinging it up and down, and we can scroll through pages. So we can also click on that little digital crown in place like a home button to go back home. So it acts almost like a back button, which is really cool. But you can also click here to get into your application drawer. So there are tons of applications here for sure. There's a calculator app, there's settings, there's iMessages. There's tons of different things here, which is cool. You can also zoom in and out with your little digital crown here too, which a lot of people do. You can also click back on your digital crown here to go back, back to where you were before. You can click once more to go back here. Now, like I said before, your home screens are completely configurable. So what you can always do is you can always hold down on the display like this, and you can actually basically customize your specific home screen. So if you swipe to the side, you'll basically come and see this plus button right here. Now, if you want, you can click on that plus button, and you can add a brand new watch face here too, which is awesome. So here what you can do is you can scroll through, and let's say you really like, this specific Apple Watch, whatever it is. Well, what you can do is you can go and click add. So you can click add face right there. And then what you can do is if everything looks good, you can click into the digital crown right here, and then it'll go ahead and add that as a face. You can click here, and now you have a brand new watch face. But let's say you don't like this one, you like the older one better. What you can always do is you can swipe to the side like this, and you can bring in your old watch face as well. So it's completely configurable. You can also hold down on the display like this, and you can click edit, and then you can edit your watch face, you can edit your display. There's a ton of things. You can edit the coloring, the widgets, and everything. So I'd recommend going through here and kind of customizing these complications, because that is a really cool thing as well. Now, on top of that, another big thing with our Apple Watch Ultra is this side button right here. So we can actually map this to do something else in our side of our Apple Watch. So what we can do is we can actually click on that Apple Watch button right here. If you hold it down, I guess it acts more of like a power button, which you can do sirens and all these other things. But you can also map it to do other things. So if we make our way over to our settings, so we can click back on our digital crown right here. We want to go and click onto our settings application, which is somewhere. So right here is settings, we can click here. And what we can do is we can scroll through. And what we want to do is we want to scroll through until we see action button. So what we can do is we can click action button. And now we can go and set that action to that button to where if we go ahead and hold it down, it can do something. So if we click it, we can go and have it to turn on the flashlight, do nothing. So in this case, if we have it turn on flashlight, watch what happens. If I click that, it'll go ahead and turn on my flashlight. So that is something that's really cool for this specific side button. So this is why, one of the main reasons for the Apple Watch Ultra is this new configurable button. Now, if you click it again, it's going to turn the flashlight off, and that is it. So that is something that's really cool. You can always turn on flashlight by swiping down and clicking the flashlight down here, but that's another really cool thing that you have. Now, on top of that, a lot of other things within your Apple Watch you'll kind of find as you kind of use it. But one of the final things I want to show you again is clicking here and downloading applications. So if you go ahead and make your way over to your App Store by clicking here and then going through and finding App Store like this, what you want to do here is you want to go and scroll through until you find your little search bar, which is right here. Now you can always search through applications here, which is really nice. But another thing you can do is click the search bar here and you'll have a little keyboard that comes up. So now what you can do is you can type in things like, I don't know, Spotify. So if you go and swipe through, you might be able to do it the first time, probably not. So in this case, I'll try it again, and it still didn't work. So I'll go ahead and have to type it in as closely as I can. So you can go and type in this. So it took a few different tries, but I finally got it. And then what you can do is click search, and you can download applications like this too. Now you can see I already have it downloaded, so I can go and click open. And I can go and download this application if I want to, which is really cool. Now clicking on the home button once more, basically going back, we will now want to make our way over to our settings application. So if we go and click on settings, we'll basically come back over here. Now if you want to swipe back, you can always click on the back button here. You can always swipe back out like this. And what you can always do is go and scroll through and just kind of see these settings for yourself. Now one of the things I want to show you is under general. So if we go and click on general, which is right there, there's a little software update panel right here. Now what I would recommend doing is every so often clicking on software update and just updating your Apple Watch whenever there's an update available. You don't have to go crazy, but this is one of the things I would recommend doing, because if you're on an outdated version of your watchOS, well, that's not going to be the best thing either. So update your watch and you should be good to go there. So those are pretty much some ways to go ahead and use your Apple Watch for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.